Welcome to another edition of the News in an Hour. I'm your host, David Moore. We have a lot to talk about this hour, so let's get started. Our first story is about the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. A federal judge agreed Friday to block the Trump administration from dismantling the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, an agency that was targeted for mass firings before the court's intervention. U.S. District Judge Amy Berman Jackson agreed to issue a preliminary injunction that maintains the agency's existence until she rules on the merits of a lawsuit seeking to preserve the agency. The judge said the court can and must act to save the agency from being shuttered. Jackson ruled that without a court order, President Donald Trump's administration would move quickly to shut down the agency that Congress created in the wake of the 2008 financial crisis. If the defendants are not enjoined, they will eliminate the agency before the court has the opportunity to decide whether the law permits them to do it. And as the defendant's own witness warned, the harm will be irreparable, Berman Jackson said in her order. Deepak Gupta, an attorney for the plaintiffs, said in a statement that the ruling blocks the unprecedented plan to dismantle the CFPB, an agency that Congress created to protect Americans' financial security. This ruling upholds the Constitution's separation of powers and preserves the Bureau's vital work. We're heartened by the decision and look forward to continuing to press our case in court, Gupta said. During a March 10th hearing, Jackson heard testimony about the chaos that erupted inside the agency after government employees were ordered to stop working last month. The Bureau's chief operating officer, Adam Martinez, said the agency was in wind-down mode after Trump fired its previous director, Rohit Chopra, on February 1st. Trump installed a temporary replacement who ordered the immediate suspension of all agency operations, canceled $100 million in contracts, and fired 70 employees. Martinez said the agency's current leaders have adopted a more methodical approach than they initially did last month when representatives of Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency arrived at its Washington headquarters. CFPB is responsible for protecting consumers from financial fraud and deceptive practices. It processes consumer complaints and examines banks to protect student loan borrowers. The National Treasury Employees Union, which represents more than 1,000 workers at the Bureau, sued on February 9th to block mass firings. Plaintiffs' attorneys argue that the administration doesn't have the constitutional authority to eliminate an agency that Congress created by statute. The defendants' unlawful action will have immediate consequences for the Americans that the CFPB was designed by Congress to protect, the lawyers wrote. Government lawyers have said the plaintiffs are seeking to impermissibly place the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau in a judicially managed receivership, with the court overseeing its day-to-day operations. Jackson started her 112-page ruling by quoting Trump and his own allies using their own words about the Bureau. Trump's billionaire advisor Elon Musk posted, "CFPB, RIP," on X, his social media platform, and added an emoji of a tombstone. White House Budget Director Russell Vought said it has been a woke and weaponized agency against disfavored industries and individuals for a long time. Trump called it a very important thing to get rid of. In sum, the court cannot look away, or the CFPB will be dissolved and dismantled completely in approximately 30 days, well before this lawsuit has come to its conclusion, Jackson wrote. In much more disappointing news about USAID, a federal appeals court on Friday lifted an order blocking Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency from further cuts at the U.S. Agency for International Development. Even before the ruling, the Trump administration on Friday took some of the last remaining steps in breaking up USAID. A Musk associate told staffers that by September, the Trump administration will have eliminated substantially all USAID jobs. The firing emails began reaching staffers' inboxes within minutes of the announcement from Jeffrey Lewin, a former member of Musk's Doge team, who was given senior duties at the agency this month. The administration's aim is to eliminate the agency's independent operation by September, Lewin wrote to staffers in the notice, which was obtained by the Associated Press. In a separate notice, Secretary of State Marco Rubio said the administration had formally notified Congress on Friday of its plans to cut most USAID programs and move surviving functions under the State Department. The court order that had blocked DOGE from further cuts was in response to a lawsuit that was among the first filed against Musk himself. It argued that DOGE's actions were unconstitutional because he was wielding significant power without being elected or Senate approved. A lower court judge agreed, but the three-judge panel of the appeals court sided with Trump and the Trump administration, at least for now. It found that while DOGE played a part in the dismantling of USAID, the cuts were approved by government officials. The Fourth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals found that social media posts like Musk's declaration that he, quote, fed USAID into the wood chipper didn't legally prove he was making the orders. Rather, the evidence indicates he was acting as an advisor to President Donald Trump, carrying out his policies of rooting out what he calls waste, fraud, and abuse in the federal government, the court found. While defendants' role and actions related to USAID are not conventional, unconventional does not necessarily equal unconstitutional. U.S. Circuit Judge Marvin Quattlebaum, what a name, who was appointed by Trump, wrote, more evidence may be unearthed as the lawsuit keeps playing out, but for now, the record doesn't support barring DOGE from USAID, he said. If the plaintiffs say that the dismantling of USAID violates the constitutional separation of powers, those claims should be directed at the administration, the appeals court suggested. Norm Eisen, an attorney for the plaintiffs, said they disagreed with the ruling, but took some solace in the judges leaving open the possibility that USAID dismantling was unconstitutional on other grounds. This fight is far from over. It's just beginning, Eisen said. The Trump administration did not immediately respond to a message seeking comment. Friday's order halted a ruling from U.S. District Judge Theodore Chang in Maryland in a lawsuit filed by former USAID employees. He found DOGE's moves to dismantle the agency were likely unconstitutional. Chang had required the Trump administration to restore email and computer access to USAID employees, including those put on administrative leave, though he stopped short of reversing firings or fully resurrecting the agency. Democratic lawmakers have challenged the Trump administration's legal standing to eliminate the 6-decade-old Aid and Development Agency as an independent body or to cut its congressionally mandated funding without congressional approval. The Trump administration and Musk accuse USAID of being wasteful and advancing a liberal agenda. Democratic lawmakers and other USAID supporters say the aid and development work overseas protects U.S. strategic interests and is best run by USAID program managers. Trump cut off foreign assistance funding through USAID and state with an executive order January 20th, the day he took office. The administration and Musk since then have closed USAID headquarters, pulled all but a fraction of USAID staff from around the world off the job, and abruptly terminated thousands of aid and development contracts. As a result of the shutdown, USAID partners have had to cut or trim programs or lay off staff, including some of the ones that normally would be aiding in the response to Friday's Southeast Asia quake or to famine in Sudan and infectious disease outbreaks across Africa. The administration initially gave USAID staff abroad as few as 30 days to return home. Overseas USAID employees protested, saying that it made it impossible for them to sell houses, pull children from school, or return home to pack if they had been on medical leave. Lewin's note Friday did not exempt staffers abroad from the firings, but indicated they would be allowed a phased return to the United States, where many no longer have homes or jobs over the summer. And we'll be right back after these messages.